Welcome to our channel, The Stoic Way. What if I told you that women can sense weakness in a man before he even speaks a word? It's not something you wear on your sleeve. It's in your posture, your tone, the way you carry yourself through life. Most men are completely oblivious to these signals, but women pick up on them instantly. This isn't just intuition, it's psychology. Evolution wired women to seek strength. Not brute physical dominance, but emotional reliance, leadership and self-assurance when a man lacks these qualities. It's like a silent alarm going off in her subconscious mind. But here's the thing. Weakness isn't what you think it is. It's not about failing or making mistakes. Those are part of growth. Real weakness lies in your inability to handle adversity, your obsession with validation, and your lack of control over your emotions. As Stoics, we know that true strength comes from within. It's not about external bravado, but mastering your thoughts. Responses and reactions. Today, we're breaking down 7 ways. Women see you're weak, often without you even realizing it. Recognize these patterns, eliminate them, and watch how people respond differently to your presence. 1. You seek constant validation. One of the most glaring signs of weakness is a man's craving for approval. Women can sense when your confidence is dependent on their attention or praise, and nothing repels them faster. Psychologists call this external locus of control, where your self-worth is dictated by outside opinions rather than your internal values. Men who constantly seek validation are like empty vessels waiting for someone else to fill them up. This creates a dynamic where you're always performing, always needing to be enough. How does this show up? You fish for compliments. Do you think I did a good job? You change your opinions to match hers, to avoid conflict. You become desperate for responses to texts or social media likes. Epicurus said, "Seek not the good in external things. Seek it within yourselves." Stop looking outward for approval. Instead, develop your own metrics for success. Ask yourself, did I live today according to my principles? Did I act with courage and honesty? If the answer is yes, you need no applause. Women are naturally drawn to men who are self-assured, who don't need constant reassurance because they know who they are by becoming internally validated. You project strength without saying a word. 2. You avoid conflict at all. Costs. Weak men fear conflict. They mistake being agreeable for being likable, thinking that saying yes to everything will make them more attractive. But women see right through this, and they lose respect for it. In psychology, this is called submissive communication, where you suppress your own needs to keep the peace over time. This creates resentment, both within yourself and from others who sense your lack of backbone. How does this show up? You agree with opinions you don't believe in to avoid tension. You apologize excessively, even when you've done nothing wrong. You back down immediately when challenged. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding yourself in the ranks of the insane. Being stoic doesn't mean avoiding conflict. It means engaging in it wisely and calmly when necessary. Practice. Assertive communication. Express your opinions clearly and respectfully without aggression. Women respect men who stand their ground with dignity. Remember, strength isn't about dominance. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent without fear, guiding your choice. 3. You can't control your emotions. A man ruled by his emotions is a ship lost at sea. Women are deeply perceptive to emotional instability, whether it's outbursts of anger, jealousy, or insecurity. These reactions scream weakness because they signal a lack of self-mastery. Emotional volatility often stems from a lack of awareness and poor coping mechanisms. Instead of processing your feelings calmly, you react impulsively, driven by fear or ego. How does this show up? You become defensive when criticized. You overreact to minor inconveniences. Jealousy consumes you when she talks to other men. The Stoic solution, Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Emotional mastery starts with understanding that your feelings are not facts. They are temporary reactions to external events. Practice mindfulness and reflection when you feel anger or insecurity. Rising, pause, breathe. Observe the emotion without acting on it over time. This builds resilience and calm. Under pressure, which women find incredibly attractive. A man who can remain composed in chaos signals strength far more powerful than any physical display. 4. You talk more than you act. There's a saying, a lion doesn't have to tell you it's a lion yet. Yet too many men fall into the trap of talking endlessly about their dreams, intentions, and abilities without ever showing proof of their worth. Women pick up on this. Instantly, they hear the lofty promises, the bold declarations, and the endless someday plans, and they know it's all just hot air. Why does this signal weakness? Because talk without action is insecurity and disguise. It's an attempt to seek validation through verbal displays rather than tangible results. A man who constantly talks but fails to act reveals that he's unsure of himself. He's trying to convince not only others, but also himself that he's capable. This behavior is rooted in what psychologists call impression management, the desire to shape how others see you. But here's the irony. The more you talk about what you're going to do, the less impressive you become. Words are cheap, action is rare. Women respect men who don't just make promises, but quietly deliver results. When a woman hears a man endlessly bragging about his future successes, she knows she's dealing with someone who lacks discipline and follow through. He's not a builder, he's a dreamer stuck in idle fantasy signs. You may be falling into this trap. Include, you constantly tell people about your goals, but never take measurable steps toward them. You exaggerate your achievements to seem more impressive. You make promises you can't or won't. Keep a man who talks more than he acts becomes predictable and untrustworthy. Women are naturally drawn to those who do the opposite, those who move in silence, surprising others with their accomplishments rather than their empty boasts. 5. You blame others for your problems. A man who refuses to take responsibility for his life might as well wear a neon sign that says, I'm weak. Nothing turns off a woman faster than a man who plays the victim, constantly pointing fingers at the world. For his shortcomings, this behavior stems from a fragile ego that can't handle failure. Blaming others is a defense mechanism. It shields you from facing the harsh reality that your problems are often self-created. But here's the catch: by refusing to take accountability, you also forfeit your power to change your circumstances. Women instinctively know this. They recognize that a man who blames others is a man who will never grow. He's someone who will wallow in self-pity, never rising to meet life's challenges. Head-on, this kind of mindset signals weakness because it shows a lack of resilience, maturity, and emotional intelligence. How does this manifest in daily life? You complain about your boss, your job, or your co-workers without taking steps to improve your career. You blame your ex for the failure of your past relationships without acknowledging your own role. You chalk up your lack of success to bad luck instead of taking responsibility for your actions. Women are drawn to men who own their mistakes because accountability signals strength. It shows that you have the courage to face adversity and grow from it. Conversely, a man who refuses to take responsibility becomes stuck, stagnant, and unattractive. 6. You struggle to say no. A man who can't say no is a man without boundaries, and women can sense this instantly. At first, they may appreciate your willingness to be agreeable, but over time, this behavior signals a deeper problem, a lack of self-respect. When you say yes to everything, you're not being kind or generous. You're being spineless. You become a people pleaser, bending over backward to gain approval and avoid conflict. And here's the harsh truth. People, including women, don't respect those who can't stand up for themselves. The inability to say no often stems from fear of rejection, fear of disappointing others, and fear of conflict. But this constant compliance creates a vicious cycle. The more you say yes to things you don't want to do, the more people expect it from you. Eventually, you lose control of your own life, becoming a passive participant instead of an active leader. How does this weakness show up? You agree to social events or favors even when you're exhausted or uninterested. You let others take advantage of your time and energy. Without pushback, you avoid saying no because you don't want to seem rude or selfish. Women respect men who have clear boundaries and the courage to enforce them. A man who says no when necessary signals strength, confidence, and self-respect. Without these qualities, you come across as weak and easily manipulated, a dynamic that quickly erodes attraction. 7. You lack purpose. Perhaps the most profound signal of weakness is a man who drifts through life without direction. Women are naturally drawn to men who live with intention, who have a mission, a passion, or a purpose driving them forward. A man without purpose, however, becomes invisible, blending into the background, as just another aimless wanderer. Purpose isn't about fame, wealth, or grand achievements. It's about having a reason to get out of bed in the morning, a goal, a passion, or a set of principles that guide your actions. Without this, life becomes hollow, marked by distraction and meaningless pursuits. A man lacking purpose often exhibits the following behaviors. He spends hours scrolling through social media or binge-watching TV without a sense of accomplishment. He drifts from job to job without any clear career path or ambition. He prioritizes fleeting pleasures, part in meaningless hookups or material possessions over long-term growth. Women sense this lack of purpose because it radiates from your actions, your conversations, and even your body language. It signals stagnation, a refusal to strive for something greater. Conversely, when a man has purpose, everything about him changes. His energy becomes magnetic. He moves with confidence and speaks with conviction. He doesn't need to seek validation because his fulfillment comes from within. Attraction isn't just about looks or charm. It's about the life force you carry. And purpose is the foundation of that force. Without it, you become forgettable with it. You become unforgettable. So there you have it. 7 ways women can spot weakness, often before you even realize it yourself. But here's the truth. Recognizing these patterns isn't about becoming obsessed with external validation or manipulating how others see you. It's about self-mastery. The Stoic path teaches us that real strength begins within when you develop emotional control, confidence rooted in action, and a clear sense of purpose. You naturally project power without saying a word. Women notice it. People respect it, and most importantly, you respect yourself. If you found value in today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Stoic Guide. We're here to help you navigate life with wisdom, strength, and purpose. Stay grounded, stay disciplined, and I'll see you next time.